Uprising. Awakening. Written by Kenneth E. Fultz Jr. Act 1. Interior, Palace, Hall of Kings, Night. Roman statues of 10 kings stand one after another, each of whom bends some sort of power to their will. Water, wind, earth, fire, strength, flight, invisibility, teleportation turn a person to stone and light. Romantic dreamlike harp playing fills the air. In our kingdom of Eden, the angels gave us a gift called grace long ago. A wonderful power that can fight magic. Yes, the first 10 kings each held a different power that far surpassed any other. Darkness fills the screen. After the King of Light died, no more graces came to our family. Many feared the collapse of the country the great kings had built, but the 4 grand clans who also held graces continued to honor the oaths they swore since the beginning, which kept our family strong. Interior, Palace, Night. Split screen. Prince Kovu, 18, a charming black man with spiky white dash of black hair, sits in the window of his bedroom, playing his harp. Prince Dayo, 17, a darker-skinned bad boy prince with spiky black dash of white hair. He draws a book off a shelf in a library, opening it. I know graces will return to the royal family someday. What sort of king do you think he will be? Kovu? Dayo? Opening song, Awakening. Exterior, Palace, Morning. Sunlight shines over the rich estate in all its glory. It stretches out for miles against the mountainside, like a combination of China's Forbidden City, a Roman Empire fort, and Greece's Neo-Castron all in one. Interior, Palace, Dayo's hall, same. Sunlight pours through the carved-out windows. Kovu walks down the hallway as he hears giggling. The prince stops just before he makes it to the doors. The double red doors slide open. 2 stunning noblewomen walk out of the room, who laugh until they catch sight of Kovu. They both instantly bow, in formal female Korean style, to Kovu before they continue on their way. Kovu watches them part until a sweaty, shirtless Dayo launches himself out of the room. Holding on to the door frames, he smiles wolfishly at the girls.
Don't be shy to visit me again.
Is this how you plan to spend your days forever, Dayo?
Dayo enters the hall, pulling his elder brother into a bear hug, even as he looks like the older one in this situation.
Good evening, brother.
It's still morning and you're sweaty.
Dayo lets his brother go, resting his hands above his waist in good humor.
It's still morning? I guess I didn't drink enough.
Kovu fixes his clothing from his brother's rough handling of him.
I can assure you you have.
Kovu fixes Dayo's messy hair with a few strands refusing to stay.
Clothes.
Dayo reaches onto the floor of his room, grabbing his belts, shirt, jewelry, and cape. Kovu helps Dayo put them on.
You know, you're funnier at parties.
A small smirk comes from Kovu's lips.
And you look better when you're dressed.
I think the ladies would disagree.
Kovu holds a finger, moving it from left to right as Dayo follows it with his eyes.
Speaking of, don't you have a fitting today?
This afternoon. Right now we have somewhere else to be.
Kovu drops his hand. He continues down the hall. Dayo follows Kovu.
You don't wish me to bathe?
Luckily for you, where we're going, your smell shouldn't attract attention.
Dayo throws on his cape. Exterior Palace, training grounds, later. In the middle of the Greek-style training grounds, brothers Bakari and Neema are bowed low, formal male Korea style, before Kovu and Dayo. Bakari, 24, a slim-built Asian nobleman with crimson silk hair and a ponytail. Neema, 18, the more boastful of the two, has short, spiky red hair. Dayo yawns.
Rise, Bakari.
You look like an idiot when you do that, Neema.
Bakari and Neema rise to their feet.
I think it's about time we begin.
Begin what exactly?
You want us to attack until your graces appear?
It happened once before when Dayo and I were sparring. I ask that you do not hold back.
This is why you came? And dragged me out here?
Exterior Palace Training Grounds, later. Kovu swings his twin Norse-style throwing axes against Bakari's Chinese-style broadsword that has 9 rings. Kovu continues to attack with his axes, sweeping low kicks that shows the prince's clear flexibility and skill. Bakari avoids and counters each blow without being forced back. The rings on Bakari's blade jiggle with each strike. Kovu flips back to give them distance. Bakari holds out his sword.
You've improved, Prince Kovu.
I have not moved you from that spot.
Few can.
On the other side of the field, Neema sends Dayo crashing onto his back from a swing of his Chinese-style spear. A Roman-style sword lands behind Dayo.
Prince Dayo, don't overthink your movements.
Neema draws back his weapon. He reaches his hand out to help the prince up. Dayo lifts himself onto his elbows. He seems to be hurt.
Yeah, well...
Dayo glances at his dual swords, draws them from his belt, swings at Neema. Neema blocks both blades with the pull of his spear. Both men wear a cocky, intense look on their faces.
Those eyes of yours really are sharp.
Naturally.
Neema's orange eyes appear as if they are on fire. Back to, Kovu swings both of his axes up. Bakari counters, knocking the axes out of Kovu's hands that cut against the prince's skin as Kovu spins backwards. Bakari freezes.
Prince Kovu?
Kovu on all fours. His cuts glow as he looks at Bakari, ready to continue. He pushes to stand, only to sink. He looks down. The ground has turned to sand. The sand shifts and lifts slightly.
My grace?
Dayo reflects in Neema's awestruck eyes. Blue hue with a sound of sparks.
They weren't joking.
Dayo stands with both his swords at the ready. Sparks of blue lightning come off his body and weapons. He notices something is off and looks down at his own arms.
It's back.
Back to, Kovu stands as the sand around him slowly rises with him. His cuts begin to heal. A proud smile comes from his face.
Keep going, Bakari. I need to test this.
Back to, Dayo swings his swords down to either side of himself.
This is finally getting interesting.
Cut between, Bakari spins his sword from the hole in the hilt. Neema twirls his spear over his head by the finger ring at the bottom of his weapon. Both blades catch on fire. Split screen. Bakari and Neema prepare for battle with a fire in their eyes. They become deadly serious.
Understood. My prince, get ready.
Split screen. Kovu readies his axes as the sand lifts and swirls around him. More sparks fly off of Dayo's body. Both princes have a new level of excitement.
Stop! All of you.
The two sets of brothers' powers flicker out. Abdul, the general of Eden, appears between all of them.
I didn't know you wanted to be target practice, General Abdul.
An excellent idea.
Enough jokes. Please step aside, General Abdul.
I understand your excitement to learn about your powers. Unfortunately, Bakari and Neema must return home immediately.
Kovu sheathes his weapons in his belt.
They were invited to stay in the capital for the entire summer.
That was before your graces were discovered. The king needs time to decide which of the 4 grand clans should train you.
With all due respect, General, there is no one better to help the princes grow than the Phoenix Angels. We're the best, considered among the best.
Neema rests his spear on his shoulders. Abdul faces Bakari and Neema. His arms rest between his back.
That is your biased opinion. Regardless, the king has rescinded your invitation until the decision has been made.
Bakari and Neema close their eyes in defeat. Interior Palace, Hall of Kings, later. Kovu and Bakari walk through the hall. Bakari has his hands in his sleeves, held together in front of him.
You and your sisters will be glad of your return.
I'm sure Fujo is taking excellent care of our younger siblings.
Your father even frightens me. They're all lucky to have you.
Bakari stops before the statue of the Fire King, 4th King. He looks up at it, which gets Kovu's attention.
I believe you take after King Kafili. He was a man known for his fiery passion.
Kovu moves closer to the statue, looking up at it.
He was great, but I'll be greater than all of them. Then, not even this name of mine will matter.
They say he was so full of energy he never stayed in the palace for long, always going somewhere new to see the truth.
Is there something I'm unaware of, Bakari?
Bakari bows to Kovu.
I pray that you open your eyes to the world around you, Your Highness. Goodbye for now.
Bakari turns to leave. Kovu turns around to face the statues of the 21 kings that made up his family history. The first 10 are great, powerful men, but the later kings can't bend anything with the last king, his father, being very much overweight. Exterior palace courtyard, same. Dayo and Neema stand across from each other. Dayo rests his hand on Neema's shoulder.
Next time, we'll get a woman in your bed.
Neema rubs the back of his neck. He blushes and laughs a bit like an idiot.
My prince, being around you is enough for me.
When is the last time you even kissed a girl?
Neema turns his head away from the prince. His face becomes even more red. Dayo takes his hand off of him.
Not since you were 13.
I tricked you into that. You must have some real fun with women.
No.
Neema tries to compose himself to look at Dayo, but a small blush still stains his cheeks.
I still can't believe you have a grace now. You're on your way to becoming king.
Dayo scratches the side of his head, not at all interested.
That's what I have an older brother for. No need for me to do anything.
Neema slams his hand on his chest, his cheeks returning to normal. There is a sense of fire to him now.
But Eden needs more than someone who's hopeful.
Dayo cocks his head to the side.
Isn't Eden supposed to be a paradise?
Neema grabs at his shirt, trying to calm himself.
No, what I mean is, I fully respect the order of birth, but you would make a far better king. You could make it an even better paradise.
Dayo rests his hand on his belt.
I'd sooner slit my own throat.
Interior palace, bathhouse, later. Dayo pops his head out of the water. A beast's screech, barely audible, comes through the walls.
Is it tax day? Father's pets are being annoying again.
Dayo leans back, throwing his arms over the sides of the large Roman-style bath. Kovu lays opposite of him, mirroring Dayo's own posture.
More than likely.
The guards will be busy then. Why not have some fun outside the palace today?
Kovu drops his arms into the water, leaning forward.
If I felt like sleeping with a woman, I can stay here.
You do know there is more beyond the noble district.
Seeing our people personally? That sounds wonderful. Although...
I wasn't aware the future king was a coward.
Kovu splashes his hand in the water at the insult.
Have you forgotten what happened last time we attempted that?
Dayo covers the scar on his neck.
There isn't a cloud in the sky. I doubt lightning strikes twice.
Kovu tilts his head back, shut his eyes.
You're living proof it does. I will not upset father before my first day at court.
Very well. I shall go alone and soak up our people's praises.
Kovu opens his eyes, staring up at the ceiling.
How can we possibly get out without being noticed?
Dayo shuts his right eye, smiling deviously.
Leave that to me. Now, let me see.
Interior palace, Kovu's bedchamber, afternoon. Kovu throws on a basic white outfit with a cloak. He lifts the hood over his head. He slides open his doors when he comes face to face with a female servant who is just about to knock. Pause. Kovu quickly shuts the doors. There is a knock. Kovu removes his hood, slams his fist onto his chest. Going into Prince Charming mode, he opens the doors again. He takes female servant's hand in both of his.